Hey, everybody in podcast land. It's another edition of Selective Memories with Nick and Jay. I'm your host, as always, Uncle Nick Falcone. And with me by my side and right next to me is the big man, the inventor of string cheese, Jason Mesher. Jay, how you doing out there?
Doing well, Nick. Thanks for having me again.
Well, this COVID climate, as we co-host in our own homes, I see a beautiful door behind you. As you see, mine behind myself. That's where the magic happens. That is the master bathroom. So,
You'll
but
see very faintly the Christmas lights are working out here in my yard, just behind my thumb, right out my sheer curtains here. So Christmas is in the air. It's that time of year. We're getting excited. The exterior illumination is complete.
mhm.
So just waiting for the big guy in a couple weeks here.
Clark, I can see it in my mind, and it's breathtaking.
Is your house on fire, Clark?
If I were you, Clark, I would check every bulb. If you need me, I'll be inside asleep.
When I was done with the decorations, I put on Facebook that I was done, putting on my exterior illumination, and one of my aunts immediately jumped on, and she's like, "Did you learn everything you know from your dad?" True Clark Griswold style. So it's a family favorite on all sides of the family for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my lights always flash back to doing with my dad. No, nothing electrocuted this year, so no problems there. But I did make 3 trips to Lowe's, multiple profanities as I had to do that. As I got painstakingly all the icicle lights up, taut, hung perfectly. One center section did not come on, and I'm not messing around. I'm not spending hours going bulb by bulb. I just go out, buy a new set, replace it. Giant pre-lit wreath doesn't work. Back to Lowe's, replace it.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was a time, but it's all good. Have a few inflatables, which I never thought would be in my yard until you have children, and then
I can't get enough inflatables. I drive around and see other people's
uh-huh,
inflatables, and I get automatically jealous.
mhm.
I want the inflatable nativity scene. I saw one that has Santa standing outside of a stable with all the reindeers' heads sticking out of it. They all look awesome to me. There can't be enough inflatables at my house. We only have a couple, but I'd
Yeah.
love to expand my collection.
If I had the yard for it and the wherewithal, where well, I guess it's the finances and the electricity to run them all. But I've seen Santa in a speedboat. I would like to go old school. I'd like to go like the people that still have the blow mold plastics up, which since they haven't been made in 40 years, all the paint is faded. Like some nativities there aren't even color left in them. You can
Oh
just
yeah,
tell that's the wise men.
oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and no matter how many trips you said you made a couple of trips to Lowe's here and there,
Mhm.
you think you have everything figured out, and next thing you know, you're short an extension cord. You have to run
Oh,
somewhere just to buy an extension cord.
I had to buy 2 more this year, and always splitters, always two plugs into one, three into one. It never ends. Now I've tried to do all the exterior extension cords in green, to mask them. I
Yeah.
did just give up this year, and I have one spot where only if you look hard you can see orange because I'm like, I can't go out for another extension cord. I don't know how it didn't work, but I can't go out for another one.
Oh my,
Uh,
but I mean, it's fun. Like you said, you do it for the kids. I know mine are ours are about the same age. You have a real young one, but
mhm.
keep doing that for the next few years, and everybody will appreciate it. And then you're off the hook for a while.
Yeah, yeah, it's and I have to go to my parents. My dad's still amazed that I can hook up these spotlights and like at this point under 15 minutes just as
Where do you
so
where do you uh where do you come down on ladders? Because I won't go up past the third rung, so there's nothing being hung from my house at all.
well, see, I lucked out because we have a ranch. So all I need is a 6 foot ladder and from the second down rung, I'm at the gutters to hang my icicles. So that's where I lucked out there because as soon as we bought this house, I was like, I can put up icicle lights because we have now one thing I'm a kind of a diehard in the outside, and I think it's just because the age of my home, and you can probably attest to this because the age of your home. Not having like a new modern home, I need the traditional incandescent, the soft yellow white lights
Oh yeah.
The LED, that blue white it. I don't think it'd look right on my house. So I know eventually I'd probably have to switch over, but right now I still get the old fashioned miniature lights. So
Absolutely,
mm,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they can almost be too bright sometimes,
mm,
and my headlights on my car are that color, and I know when I'm passing folks on the road or they're coming the other direction, they
mm,
always think I have my high beams on, and they flip their high beams at
mm.
me, but that's just how bright my low beams are.
And that's how bright you are as an individual. I mean, you're a
Yes,
low beam.
yes,
Yeah, I mean, now
that's
is that
without
on the
debate.
that's on the which the remind me, your little car.
Oh, the Prius,
The Prius, thank you. I don't know why the name just slipped right out of my head. Yeah. So that's on the Prius with the bright lights on that.
very
That would
bright.
that would make sense. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Everything about the Prius is bright.
Beautiful. 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 Well, since we've been talking, you can obviously tell we're in the Christmas season. So we just came out of Thanksgiving, which unfortunately never gets enough credit. It's just like a precursor. As soon as you come out of Halloween, you jump right into Christmas, and you forget the yellows and reds and browns of Thanksgiving. But since we are coming out of it, I think. Jay and I have talked about this as connoisseurs of food, and this is a big meal. I mean, really, as Thanksgiving traditions come down to it, that's really everyone can have traditions and other holidays, but Thanksgiving is pretty much that center meal. So,
Right.
Jay, why don't you take it from there and tell me what you thought up there?
Well, I came up with this list. I thought maybe I would quiz you a little bit.
Okay.
Everybody has their favorite foods. Everybody has the foods that they really don't like, and then other folks have foods that they'll eat just to kind of be polite for the host. Whether it be family, yes, family, relatives. The wife's family, the in-laws. Something you eat even though you normally wouldn't eat it. So I'll give you a list of the major uh, Thanksgiving meal list here, and you can let me know kind of where you fall with that. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll go with the big guy right away. Turkey right out of the gate.
Uh, now, remind what are the three again? What's just so I can hit you
That's
back.
okay. Yeah,
Okay.
ones you absolutely love,
Absolutely
ones
love.
you can't stand,
Can't
and then the
stand.
ones you would just eat to be polite.
Okay. So turkey right off the bat, absolutely love. I have heard these wonderful things about deep fried turkeys. I have never gotten.
Oh,
We go to my parents and my mother-in-law's traditional turkey, roaster oven. I am when I was a kid, I would always take the turkey leg. So still, as my mother, carves up the turkey, leave the leg for Nicholas. So I'm still, I hit right out of the gate. I'm dark meat right out of the gate, but turkey absolutely love. Yep, no misgivings about that.
all right, all right.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're switch a little bit here. Green bean casserole,
Oh, oh. Now this is a tough one because I love it,
but
but there's ways that it can be made where I will just appease the cook. I guess I'm a snob. I think there's a traditional recipe that I think it's the traditional green beans, like the long ones, French's onions, and
mhm.
the cream of mushroom. I think you can sort of short it a little bit, go with some different, just canned like cut green beans. If it's made straight recipe traditional, I'm gonna absolutely love. But if you're coming up short, I'm gonna be a nice guy and just tell you it's good. But you'll know because I'm only having one scoop.
Now, is that I mean,
Mhm.
how about the onion straw type topping? Good,
That's what you
bad?
gotta have, and it's
Okay.
gotta be out of the French's can. You throw a great value or essential every day on there. I'm gonna know about it, and I'm not gonna be happy.
Okay, how about mashed potatoes?
Oh, absolutely love. And this is where I mean it can be traditional white, Yukon Gold. What I'm a mashed potato fan. Now, I will say, I mean, if you're doing boxed potatoes, I'll eat it. But I do my mother was always a traditional, and we say mashed potatoes, but really hers have always been whipped potatoes because she does this, the hand blender, the
Right.
milk in, but mix
Hmm.
it in. But yeah, gotta have mashed potatoes,
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Gravy.
Gravy. Oh, dark gravy. Need it.
On
Need it.
top of everything or only on certain things?
See, I'm not psychotic. I like to keep my plate. I'll put my little well in the mashed potatoes and put it right in the center. Depending sometimes, and to no fault of the chef, sometimes turkey can get a little dry. So if I start tasting the turkey and it needs then I'll pour it over, or I'm dunking the bird in my gravy well. So I'm not pouring it over everything. I'm keeping a very nice looking plate.
Have you ever seen a turkey as dry as the one Eddie's wife makes on Christmas Vacation?
I told you we put it in too early.
Oh,
Save the neck for me, Clark.
they're all crunching on it. Yeah.
Here's the heart. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of gravy,
Yes.
this is completely off topic, but I'll bring us back in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're Western Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
born and raised, so we know all about Eaton Park. When I was in high school, that was like the big hangout place to go. We go to Eaton
Sure.
Park for some dessert, for some dinner, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I had one friend who would always order the hot turkey sandwich with French fries.
Mm-hmm.
There was one time that I'll never forget. The waitress said, "Do you want gravy on everything?" He goes, "Yes, I do." He goes, "Put a decent amount on there." She said, "Okay, I'll put a lot." He goes, "Actually," he goes, "I take that back." He goes, "I want to be personally embarrassed by how much gravy you put on the plate and bring out to me." He goes, "When you walk by other tables, I want people to look at my plate and go, 'Wow, that's a lot of gravy.'"
Gravy.
I don't know why. Popped in there.
That is that's a day after. I think Thanksgiving meal in a lot of ways can taste better the day after because you're building your plate, microwaving it up. Now gravy's a little tough because it congeals, so you got to really
Yes.
microwave it back down. But I like that day after. Maybe it's just because you're not like, I don't know, if you have family stress or everyone's sitting at the table together and passing everything, but that day after when you get to take it out of the fridge. Now when you open that refrigerator, there's no doubt if there's Thanksgiving leftovers in there, because the turkey will knock you right over. There's
Exactly.
bird there. Yeah.
Oh
But
my.
so I digress though. But so hit me back up. Okay, so we got the potatoes in. Where are we going next?
Okay, we went turkey, went potatoes, we went gravy, so we're gonna go with stuffing.
Stuffing. Total snob here. Total snob. It's got to be cooked in the bird. And it's my mother's. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's my mother's stuffing. It's not, a separate. Sometimes people just make like a separate pan, and then sometimes you have so many people, you have to do this. You have to
Right.
make more stuffing. But the only stuffing I like is coming out of the bird. It kind of has that baked in, taste to it. Sometimes a little like browned, and that's the best stuffing in the world. But
No
if you're
no
putting stove,
stovetop for you.
I will. I will humor you. Let's just say it that. That's a humor. If it's stovetop, I will humor. If it's coming out of the bird, my mother, like, the only time we bought like Wonder Bread was for stuffing because you got that giant loaf, and
Oh
she would
yeah.
sit with the pan, break it all up, put the celery in, put the seasoning, get it all going, and then stuff that bird in the morning. Oh, nothing's better.
Yeah, my father-in-law is like world or family renowned over here for his stuffing. He doesn't do it inside the bird. He does do it in a
Okay.
separate pan. He uses like sausage and stuff like that in there. It is.
It is good. I don't know about the cat, but I sure am enjoying it.
Load me up with a little more of that. It is good.
Now, see that I would enjoy to try, but just and like I said, I will eat it. But yeah, I mean, to make this list true and be honest, yeah, that's how I fall with stuffing.
Now I've given you some snowballs so far,
Mhm.
like some real easy ones.
Yeah.
This one's pretty. I don't know. You either love it or you hate it. Usually,
Mhm.
this is pretty polarizing.
Mhm.
Cranberry sauce
Cranberry sauce. I will take it right out of the Ocean Spray can.
in the same,
The
yeah, that
ridges,
shape. In that
yes.
shape, yeah.
Shape, slice it down. I love it. I
I
love it.
can't stand cranberry sauce.
Can't stand it.
No.
Now, my mother will do a homemade cranberry and then the can because it's just tradition. We have to have that. So, and I'll probably eat more of the can than I do actually real cranberries.
Oh boy. What about sweet potatoes. Now, I'll do sweet potatoes separate.
Hmm.
We'll do sweet potatoes first, but then we're going to talk about sweet potato casserole with marshmallows.
Bro. I I like sweet potato fries, just straight sweet potatoes. No matter how good they are,
Oh,
pass. I don't.
oh,
Me and a
oh.
sweet potato, I am just. I guess I mean to make it true. I guess I gotta say I hate it though because I pass it on to the next person. Rarely do I take a sweet potato slash yam. And if it's coming from that palette of Bruce's yams that show up at Thanksgiving, even more, just slide it right on down. Slide it right on down.
Does that go for if they put the casserole together with the marshmallows, or is that a little more tolerable for you?
A little more tolerable. I
Okay.
may take it, but I have never trying to think back, even when I was a kid and like my extended family would get together, I don't know if anyone made it with the marshmallows. So I was never even my mother never did. So that's where most of your traditions come from. And so yeah, I'd probably have some. But once again, still passing on the sweet potato, moving on down the bench.
I mean, I was with you every
Mhm.
step of the way here until the last two,
So
cranberry sauce and sweet potato. We're on different sides of the coin there, buddy.
what can we do? What can we do? I mean, at least you don't know what's in the Santa mug. I mean, it could be whiskey. It could be whiskey. Mm.
It could be
So
eggnog,
mhm.
could be spiked eggnog.
Could be spiked egg. I am an eggnog fan. Not to slide off topic there, but how do you fall on eggnog? I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I like it whether I buy a jug of it at the grocery store. My great grandmother used to make some with brandy and ice cream in it when I was
Oh,
younger,
mhm.
like big scoops of vanilla ice cream, but floating around
uh
the thing, almost like a root beer float type thing.
mhm.
But they're all delicious. I'm one of the few people in my house who eat eggnog, who drink eggnog. But I do love it. How about yourself?
I'm the same, and I'm the only one in my household that drinks it. So I get like a quart and just have it in there, and I can even drink that one out of the carton because no one else is touching it. So sometimes it's just in the middle of the night you open up the fridge in the holiday because you got like a month expiration
Yeah.
date on
Oh
that. So
yeah.
it's not like you're gonna sit down and drink a whole vat. But now that was that's a Christmas Eve growing up tradition in my house. We'd come back from mass and we'd have a little eggnog toast, and out would come the bottle of VO, Seagram's VO whiskey, and or rum. That was your two kind of options. You could put one or the other in, and then a little nutmeg, just on top, just for flavor. But yeah, I'm
Since
what.
we're the only ones in our houses who enjoy
Wait.
eggnog, we should just buy ourselves like a 6 pack of it and go have a eggnog happy hour someday.
Yeah, honestly, if you had a 6 pack, 12 ounce, pounders of eggnog, we could like if Natty, made eggnog. Yeah. Now I am not a brand like snob on that. If
No,
it's Turner's or whoever made it, that's usually fine. I have no problem there. Now, if you go to
Turner's
the liquor
makes,
store,
yeah.
there's a Pennsylvania Dutch usually they have out there with pre-mixed with liquor. I like my own, and then if I want to add to it, I'll add a little spicer. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. And Turner's doesn't make a bad anything.
no, no,
No.
no, absolutely. I mean, in the multiple flavors and Mon Valley champagne, the Turner's tea. I mean, you can't go wrong.
All right, now I mean we covered most of the main dishes.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna just throw a
Let's just
general thing of what.
fireball them. Just fire them out there. We'll fire them. We'll go back and forth. Fire, fire.
Well, I want you to give me a list of,
Okay.
as far as vegetables go.
Okay.
Give me some good ones. Give me some bad ones you
Okay.
don't like.
Okay. So good ones. Corn can be on the table.
Agreed.
I'll have it anyway. You want to make a corn casserole? You want to make cornbread? Just corn in a bowl. Perfectly fine with. I don't know. I may differ from you because this is very acquired taste, but I'm a Brussels sprout fan. My my mother Dana roast them in a pan, olive oil, salt and pepper, cook them till they're real down. I can see you. Are you gagging as I say Brussels sprout?
Oddly, my wife did make Brussels sprouts this year to take over in my parents' house,
Uh-huh.
and like you said, put them in the oven with some bacon, with some already
Okay.
like
Had that.
fried up some bacon and put it in there.
Mhm.
So unless it has something with it, but the bacon made a very good, a very good marriage there between the two, or it's
Uh-huh.
like drizzled in cheese or butter or
Mhm.
something. That's the only way I won't eat them by themselves.
Really? Okay. Okay. Now I need them like really cooked down because I've had Brussels sprouts, and if you just like steam them with no flavoring, it's a bitter. They can be bitter. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
an acquired taste there. I'm gonna throw it out. I am. You can have like the veggie casserole with kind of like the breading and like cream of mushroom or like a soup going in with it, to bake it in
Okay.
a casserole. I'm fine there. You can put mixed veggies in front of me. I'm just not a lima bean fan. If you grab that
Mm.
frozen bag of mixed veggies and it says with lima beans, nah, you can kick it to the curb. Not gonna have it. Not on my table.
Not on my plate.
Not on my plate. Carrots, that would be one where I they can be cooked down, they can be raw, they can be crinkle cut, they can be with a stew. I will eat them just honestly just for the sake of it, but I'm not really a big carrot guy.
You're not going out to the store looking for carrots.
No, no. And
No.
if you got the veggie and dip mix, I'm putting the celery in, the broccoli, cauliflower, carrot. I'm good. If I need good eyesight, I'll take a couple, but now I'll pass on the veg. Which veggies are your sitting on your table?
I mean, yeah, I like the corn. Corn's very good. I'll avoid any type of green bean unless it's in, like we talked about before, the
Okay.
correctly made green bean
Mhm.
casserole. That's the only way I'll eat green beans.
Uh-huh.
I'm one of the few people here who like peas. I like to eat,
Ooh.
yeah, I
Okay.
like some peas.
Hmm.
Let's see
Peas
what
and
else.
carrots.
Huh?
Me and Jenny were like peas and carrots.
I do like carrots.
My
I
Jenny.
guess what potatoes we already covered.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. A broccoli. I mean, not really. I mean, if it's on a veggie tray and I can
Mhm.
dip it in something, like the Brussels sprouts, it's got to be dripping with something for me to eat it.
Yeah. Now, see, that's something like um, usually if we cook it here, like steamed, salt, pepper, olive oil, a lot of times they don't roast it in the pan. So
Hmm.
really good there. The only time I like it out, and it's a chain, which is surprisingly, but Applebee's, the way they steam broccoli,
Oh
I
yeah.
love it there. It's always good. So
Huh.
if you're getting the 2 for $20 and you want the veggie side, go with the broccoli. You're not going to be disappointed.
You go with the broccoli and thank you later when we
That,
do it, right?
oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah, no.
All you listeners at home, that was your probably your public service announcement for
Public
your
service now.
vegetables. Eat more
Yes,
vegetables. Eat the broccoli. Go to Applebee's. Get the broccoli.
yeah. So what's left on the table? I mean, dessert wise, I don't.
uh, you read my mind.
Okay, bring it
All
on.
right. So I didn't really come up with a whole lot as far as
Mhm.
desserts because I know every family is different and
Mhm.
everybody probably makes. I just went straight with pies
Okay.
for my list here. So I want you have to
Mhm.
one dessert.
Mhm.
I'm giving you a choice of three. So one
Okay.
of them is one you'll eat one time and
Mhm.
never eat it again. One will be you'll eat it every day for dessert for the rest of your life. And the other one you'll never have it again. You have to. So it's the cleaned up version of the F Mary Kill.
F Mary. Okay, so.
Okay. So we have pumpkin pie,
Mhm.
we have apple pie,
Mhm.
and we have pecan pie.
Okay. Okay. So here, this is where this is brutal because pumpkin for me, I am a total snob of pumpkin pie, and I will only like my mother's pumpkin pie. And
Wow.
it is the Libby recipe, but I believe it's she doesn't do the cloves, and there's something else she always brings up she does differently because hers is like a real nice tan, real creamy pumpkin pie. That's the only pumpkin pie I will eat. Apple, I've met a lot of loves of my life. I've met good apple pie. I've met weak apple pie. Um, Pecan is so good, but it is so sweet.
Hmm.
If it is a like night where you're say like you're going, I'm not saying eating Parks pecan pie, but if you're like going to that type of setting where you're just sitting down having dessert, I can have
Okay.
pecan and love it. My mother does 3 pies on Thanksgiving. She does pumpkin, chocolate, which my father stirs the chocolate pudding to make the pie night before, Thanksgiving every year. And then usually pecan. And at the end of that meal, it's too much. I can't. I'll have a piece of the chocolate and have a piece of the pumpkin, but I pass on the pecan because it's just too sweet at that point. So if I had to FMK, this is my Thanksgiving edition. I'm I'm marrying the only pumpkin that I like. I guess I'm killing off the oh, this is tough. This is just from my personal Thanksgiving. I guess I'm killing off the
Absolutely.
app. I'm killing off the apple, and yeah, then I guess I'm in bed with in bed with the pecan, the super
Like
sweet
Jason Biggs in the first American
freaking
Pie.
pie. We'll just tell your mother we ate it and we loved it.
There might not be a better TV, movie, whatever, dad than Eugene Levy, the absolute
Oh,
best.
classic. And I tell you what, after you watch Schitt's Creek, if I met Eugene and Dan Levy and they weren't awesome, it would break my heart.
You think
Honestly,
they have to be total jerks? It would like surprise you.
I would
Yeah.
like stop traffic. I'd be just dead stop. Like my whole world would collide if you didn't meet them and they weren't hilarious and like just great people.
Oh,
Uh,
they seem like it anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But that was the selective memories Thanksgiving rundown
Nice.
is brought to you by me.
And we have no sponsors at this point, so we're not sponsored in any way by any of these food companies.
Wait a minute.
ConAgra and Heinz money is not here.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. That segment was brought to you by.
Oh,
I can't find it. The hell with it.
the hell with it. You can't say nobody's listening anyway. Tomorrow night's Die Hard night at the stadium. Free ticket for anyone who's alive. The last time the Indians won the pennant.
They love this team here in Cleveland. Yeah. Oh my.
So as we segue in the next topic, Thanksgiving traditions. It's tough because I don't think Thanksgiving never gets associated. It's just like a meal, have family, maybe you travel, but that's it. There's really not a lot of traditions. And in my household growing up, we started one. This was in the late 80s after we bought our first one of the first bought VHS tapes that we have, I may add also as well, because in the 80s, VHS tapes, like when you bought one, it was like $40. It was an investment. Like they weren't cheap. You were either, you had to go to Suncoast or Hills or so
Radio Shack.
Oh, the Shack. The Shack, it could be $120. You don't even know what things cost there. They didn't even have price tags. And it was all made by Tambi and other, their brands. Batteries were $26 at Radio Shack. And then they wanted your address and phone number to buy it. Good memories there. But Thanksgiving tradition we always had as my mom was sitting at the table making the pies for Thanksgiving Day. We would always watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And like I said, I think if a memory serves, it came out around like 87. So we started watching that like every night before Thanksgiving for generations. And now, I'll pop it in sometime around Thanksgiving, always, sometimes the night before, sometimes if it's something happens, but the day after, but always make sure it's watched. And it brings me up to a legend and probably one of my definitely top 5 missed actors of our generation who are no longer with us. And that's John Candy.
Okay.
I mean, there is,
absolutely.
I think you'd be hard pressed for a John Candy film to come on that you can't stop and watch. So, I'm going to throw this out there, Jay. So I'm going to run down real quick. I've got the list in front of me. Now, these are John Candy movies. I'm not going to I'm going to try to skip over his cameo appearances. But so if we really start with like his first movie, he was in 1941. If you remember that one with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, it was set in World War II. Not a great movie, but that's where he like first starts to star in movies. But from that, you go to Blues Brothers, Stripes, Vacation, Splash, Brewster's Millions, Summer Rental, Volunteers, Armed and Dangerous, Little Shop of Horrors, Spaceballs, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors, The Voice of the Horse and Hot to Trot, Who's Harry Crumb, Uncle Buck, Home Alone, Nothing But Trouble, Only the Lonely, Delirious, JFK, Rookie of the Year, Cool Runnings, Wagons East, and his last film that was actually released after he passed away, Canadian Bacon.
Jeez.
So,
Now, are you gonna like? There's a decent amount on that list that I haven't seen, um, and you took it easy on me last show with the Sean Connery James Bond stuff, because I up until that point haven't seen any James Bond movies since our show. I have watched a few,
yes,
so yeah, I don't know about you, but that list you just read, I would say I maybe have seen half of the movies. And
yeah.
out of that half, maybe some of them I might have only seen once or twice, not enough to remember too much about it. Like
Mm,
I didn't realize until you were reading,
mhm.
down through the list that he was in Home Alone. Home Alone's on right now, and I forgot he's in the Polka Polka Polka.
Gus Polinski's the polka king of the Midwest. Polka twist.
What was the
Very
other
big
one?
in Sheboygan. Very big in Sheboygan.
Well, who was he in Blues Brothers? Because that's one that I've only seen a handful of
Oh,
times.
Blues Brothers. He's the cop when he when they take the two cops and they drive through the mall and they flip those two cops. Then
Okay.
he's like the detective who then tags along with them for the rest of the movie. Trying
Oh,
to catch them.
okay.
And classic John in that is Orange Whip, 3 orange whips right here when he orders the.
Now I don't know if that list you read, I don't know if you have it still up. Did you say National Lampoon's Vacation? Because he was the
Yes.
cop in there too. Okay.
Yep. So there's 2 cop roles there.
Mhm.
And that was actually right after, shortly after, because that was like 80. Let me check my dates here. So 81, you have 80, you have the Blues Brothers, Stripes in 81, then Vacation in 83. Splash, a personal favorite of mine, who's Tom Hanks's brother in Splash. And it just so happens, quick aside there, I'm watching Josh Gad during like the summer and COVID. He was having all these casts reunite, and he had the cast of Splash come back together. And he was talking with Ron Howard, who was the director, and big name, it slips my mind, big name in Hollywood, but what the producer on it. And Ron Howard said to him, like, how can I have John Candy and Tom Hanks be brothers? Like, it doesn't even, they don't look right at all. He said, how can you have them? Because they're like the funniest men in America. That's how they're going to be brothers, and they're big actors. He's like, so from that, that's how they became, like he was like, that's how they're going to become brothers. They're hilarious. And yeah.
What more do you need, right?
Yeah. But I'm just going to throw this out there. See what you think there. If you could only have one John Candy movie and you got to throw the rest in the ocean, which one are you going with?
I mean, like I said, from that list you read, there were a number that I've seen, a few that I absolutely love, and I, like you said, will watch it every time it's on, or if I'm flipping around the dial, oh, this movie's on, I love this movie. One that I absolutely can't go without would have to be The Great Outdoors. Absolutely Great Outdoors.
Chet Ripley. I'm with you there. It's so tough because it's almost like you need a top 3, but the one that I love it, and it breaks my heart every time, because when you watch it after he's passed and he puts that hand up and waves goodbye at the end, Uncle Buck. I am Niagara Falls at the end of Uncle Buck.
Oh boy.
Time, because Buck Russell is just the epitome of the bachelor uncle that you always wanted and never. Yeah.
And kind of a segue back into what we were talking about earlier. Armed and Dangerous is very underrated.
Yes.
Eugene
Levy.
So is Who's Harry Crumb. I always loved Who's Harry Crumb. When I was growing up, I watched that all the time when it was on.
And it seemed to be on. It was definitely, that was like, I don't want to say TBS, but like a cable favorite. So it must have been easy to buy because it seemed like it was always on. But yeah, I think that's really underrated. Like you say, Armed and Dangerous. I don't know if Summer Rental was one that you have. It's where he's an air traffic controller and like has almost like a breakdown. So he takes his family for vacation for like 2-3 weeks, and he ends up getting into this uh, the landlord of the place he rents, which is like a total dive, like wants him evicted, and in classic 80s form, he challenges him to like the summer regatta, and if he wins, he gets to stay rent free. So
Oh, jeez.
yeah, and some classic 80s hijinks, and so it's almost like it was written for John Cusack, but it was for a dad, so you got John Candy, because it's that type of like summer movie. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I mean, same. That's a tough one that if I'd have to live without. I think he's hilarious in Spaceballs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy because there's so many that he's a side actor. Like the ones that he like truly is his movie, Uncle Buck, Who's Harry Crumb, even Great Outdoors to an extent because he's with Dan Aykroyd. It's not like it's his own movie.
Mhm.
I am a softy for, and it's terrible, and I hate even admitting it, but Cool Runnings. I mean, when they start clapping for the Jamaicans, as they're carrying the bobsled across the finish line, it gets me. It gets me. I mean, I'm pretty sure, as the true story goes, Leon was probably not the anchor of he was in that movie. The actor Leon, couple roles in the 80s and 90s he was in the Temptations movie. But have you seen Cool Runnings?
I have not.
How can you be born in our generation and have not watched Cool Runnings?
There has to be somebody in each generation that's never seen it. I'm that person in this one. There's probably people our parents' age that have never seen, I don't know, Gone with the Wind or something like that.
You were that guy. Now, have you
Yeah,
seen
that guy.
Rookie of the Year, where he's the broadcaster? I mean, maybe this is because we're a couple years difference in age, but like Rookie of the Year was like my elementary going into middle school. Like, so it was, I think I was just maybe starting middle school. And that was like a popular, your parents could drop you off in the movies. It was PG. It was the kid who then is in American Pie, the one who starts the whole contest. He's the Rookie of the Year when he was a kid.
Henry Rowan Gardner.
Yeah, Rowan. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, just a broadcaster in there, but he's hilarious.
Oh man, what year did Cool Runnings come out?
93. Same with Rookie of the Year.
I
93.
was thinking as a freshman.
Mhm.
Freshman going into my I was freshman from 93 to 94. So yeah.
Okay, so there's the difference there. Where 93 for me is like, that's sixth or seventh grade. Okay, so that was it. You were a little too past Rookie of the Year.
Little, a little bit past my time. I was a little too grown up for that, I guess.
A
I
little
don't
too
know.
grown up. Now, unfortunately, being born under a bad sign and being the youngest myself, I mean, I was watching movies way before I should have. Watching
Oh yeah,
Blues Brothers, Animal House, Vacation when I'm like 5 years old.
absolutely.
And
Naked
it was
Gun,
just,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, the years, they just never repeat it. There were a few times you had to cover the eyes or just leave the room.
Yeah. Oh,
I
but
think
yeah.
uh, I think John Belushi on the ladder in Animal House. That's one where I had to leave the room for a couple minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was,
yeah.
uh, yeah. So yours is so that's Great Outdoors and mine's Uncle Buck. I think if we kept those two, um, a world would not be broken, but you'd see probably some of his best work between those two. I'd have to say.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Before
I
I
mean,
leave this, have you seen Delirious?
no.
91. He's a soap opera writer, and gets knocked unconscious and wakes up in the world of the soap opera that he writes. So he like can type himself like into scenes, and yeah. And then he eventually comes to it. It was all just a dream. But yeah, once again, it was who would have thought that was going to be the end of his career was the early 90s. I mean,
Absolutely.
if he was around today, he would still be. He'd
Oh
still be
yeah.
acting. I
He'd
mean,
probably do cameos on Schitt's Creek or something.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because that's where SCTV, which was the Canadian Second City Television,
Hmm.
that's where him and Eugene Levy and those, I mean, that's where Catherine O'Hara, that's where they all got their starts in the 70s. It was basically the Canadian counterpart to Saturday Night Live.
Awesome.
Yeah, so lot of classic sketch comedies come out of that, and that Second City troupe, which is out of Toronto and Chicago. I've when I've gone to Chicago, I've gone to Second City twice, and
Oh yeah.
see a lot of big actors, big comedians all came out of Second City. John Belushi, Bill Murray, John Candy, Eugene Levy. I mean, the list goes on.
Wow.
Yeah, that was all their improv troupe that they started from. Basically, when Lauren Michaels started Saturday Night Live, he like raided Second City and got those actors, and Chevy Chase. I mean, all came through there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So we can't have Thanksgiving in this time of year without football. As we're running short on time here, let's just throw that out there. Um, give me a couple football movies. They can be pump up movies. They can be tearjerker movies. But what would you say are your favorite football movies?
There are a couple, like you said, a little bit of each. In no particular order,
Mm,
just as soon as I can remember them. Remember the Titans, right off the
okay.
bat.
Mhm.
On a different level of enjoyment, Necessary Roughness.
Oh, I was hoping that would come in there. It's only now that is a total generation thing. I don't think anyone who's not in early '90s, watching movie is going to bring up Necessary Roughness.
Quarterback Paul Blake,
Oh,
the only member of the Armadillos alive when the Beatles were still
we're still
together.
together. Don't
Uh,
throw it to Stonehands.
I thought you were gonna do one of these.
That you're
How
going to
about
do.
they stinks at two sports? Robert Loggia, one of my favorites.
Cameo of Kathy Ireland as the female kicker.
Yes,
Or wait, no, yeah, it was Kathy Ireland,
I
right?
think it was Kathy Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, classic. A young Jason Bateman is
You
one of
just
the
I was just gonna say exactly that phrase, a young
yeah.
Jason Bateman.
Mhm.
Oh man. Um,
Classic.
we have The Replacements.
Very good. Underrated.
I
Underrated.
I enjoy it. I think it's
I
funny.
I think, and you know what, as movies go, it's probably, I mean, I think it's underrated just in the fact that like the storyline's very good in it. I mean, there's probably no sport is there greater has-beens or never achieved their glory than when it comes to football. Because you
Right.
could probably rattle off 40 guys that all came out of college as the greatest thing since sliced bread that did absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
So
because it's not like there's a minor league for the NFL or anything. So if
no.
you don't make one of the 32 teams, you're doing something else.
Yeah, and I mean, unless you're lone Doug Flutie going up to Canada and then coming back for the Bills, aka Flutie Flakes of the late '90s, and Tommy Maddox from the XFL. I mean,
And the last one that came to mind, I mean, it's not a football movie per se, but there is football in it. Jerry Maguire. I always like watching Jerry Maguire.
mhm.
A lot of people don't think of that when they think of football movies, but those four popped in like immediately. I'm sure there's plenty more that I have forgotten to think about, but that's what I came up with.
So my three, which they're all tear jerkers and emotional for me. Remember the Titans. We Are Marshall, which
Never
is
saw
the
it.
story of the Marshall football team that died in the plane crash, and then coaching the team that they put together the year after that. And it scalds me because when I was a kid, I had no allegiance to Notre Dame. I just loved
Don't
Rudy
say it.
in
Oh,
that story. And it's only because later in life it takes some of the zest out of that movie of the Notre Dame fan base out there that just it scalded me. But I mean, come on, you can't if you don't have some emotion for from the moment he opens up that acceptance letter to his dad walking in the stadium saying this is the greatest sight these eyes have ever seen, and you don't choke up a little bit, you may not have a soul. You may be a true communist and not. I mean, you might as well go live in Siberia if you can't. And this is the same if you're watching Field of Dreams and he asks his dad to have a catch and you don't tear up, once again, I believe you have no soul or you just had a really bad relationship with your father.
I do tear up at weird moments in weird movies, especially a lot more lately. I don't know if I'm getting more, hormonal or something at my older age, but it's bad tearing up on weird stuff. What the heck was I watching the other day that I teared up on? I think it was something. It was a Christmas special that we were watching, and something that we watch all the time. What was it? Oh, I can't think of it right now, but something that normal people would not cry over. But I was getting like, oh, that's really sweet.
And that, you know what? It happens, and only in this area, but now it's become like more of a cult following. But it's still true for me. Is the Eaton Park Christmas tree when the tree bends down to pick up that star, and the jingle, and then the lights come on, and Eaton Park wishes you a Merry Christmas. I mean, it's like it's not even Christmas until the tree. And it used to be for me as a kid. There used to be a commercial with the Hershey Kiss bells, and they would bell
Oh
like
yeah,
chime. And there, I don't know, I haven't seen that for like a couple of years, so I don't know if Hershey's still doing it. But those two commercials, like, are heartfelt. That it's not Christmas without those
absolutely.
commercials.
Yeah, the stores can put out all the
Mhm.
ads they want to for
Mhm.
trees and gifts and things like that. But until that commercial from Eaton Park with the tree comes on, it's actually not Christmas yet. That's what kicks off the Christmas season.
Now the good thing is it does start very early. I think I caught it like a day or two before Thanksgiving, so it did. So we'll have to come up with for a later show. We're going to have to come up with a list of. We're just going to have to put ourselves out there, and you can humiliate us. But the things that we cry to, that just do not fit the mold of what should be of what should be choked up to in a movie.
All right, so in that case, I'll give a brief spoiler alert. Like
Mm-hmm,
the first time I saw the movie Independence Day,
mm-hmm.
when Randy Quaid drives up into that thing and he says, "Tell my kids I love them." I'm like, "Duh, uh."
Let me. So it is. It's July 2nd, the year that movie came out, and it was. It was a preview day at Greengate Mall Cinemas. There was the three cinemas behind, which is now the giant Walmart, but used to be Greengate Mall, and there was the Greengate Three Cinemas. And me and a buddy of mine and a girlfriend of ours, we went and we saw it on a preview night. So we stood in line to get tickets. So it's a packed theater. We're seat to seat. There's no empty seats when Bill Pullman says, "Today we declare our Independence Day." And this is no lie. The entire theater applause that lasted for like 2 straight minutes. I mean, guys are jumping in the air. USA chants are starting. I mean, you couldn't hear the next 5 minutes of the movie because the whole crowd went nuts.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
I don't know if Bill Pullman has ever gotten that respect in his life.
Bill Pullman's acting coach never got that reaction, or never gave him that reaction.
Yep.
But
Another thing
yeah,
that I mean, you were, I mean, just very, I mean, just a small child, and I wasn't even born yet. But Miracle, with
yeah.
the '80 Olympics, when I watch Miracle and Kurt Russell gives that speech in the locker room, and then as they're walking out, and all the guys are tapping their sticks to like the telegrams and letters on the wall, I, I'm a mess. I'm a complete mess.
Great moments are born of great opportunity.
That's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight. Their time is over. It's done. We play them 10 times. We may lose 9, but not tonight.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Oh boy. Good
Go
old Herbie.
take it. Oh, and then the I don't know, that assistant coach, like director, when he taps Rizzo, he taps Rizzo on the head before he goes. I mean, and then at the end, once again, it's a father-son thing. But Craig and goal, this points up and he sees his dad and they cheer for each. I mean, complete mess. I'm a complete mess.
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
watch it. I have to watch it in my own home because I'm crying.
And I got you completely off topic, but that's okay. That's what we do here on Selective Memories.
That is.
You gave me the you told me to list some of my favorite football movies. I don't believe you had a chance to give yours yet.
Okay, so the top 3 that I mentioned: Titans, Marshall, and Rudy. But then the ones that are not like the heartfelt ones, I like the original Longest Yard with the great Burt Reynolds, and I also like the one with Adam Sandler. It's the guys in prison playing the guards. Just throwing out, it's like a necessary roughness for me. I like it. I like the movie. So I'm putting that one out there. Little Giants, if you
The
remember.
annexation of Puerto Rico.
I mean, once again, you have to be a kid in that time watching that movie. So I think that's a good one there. Yeah, Necessary Roughness is definitely on my list. I'm trying to think because I thought of some, but now they're slipping past my memory there. I will say this is one of the guilty pleasures that we would watch in college a lot, and it is The Program.
Okay.
Um, and it is, I mean, every stereotype of football at that time, what you thought college football was. You've got the steroid freak.
Latimer.
You've got the bribery under the table. You've got the drunk. I mean, it's like, yeah, the epitome of what you thought college football. But we watched it consistently. I mean, when Latimer starting seat at the table and he cracks his head through the side windshield. I mean,
And I always remember the Sports Illustrated cover. Kane is able.
Is able. Latimer crying tears of joy on the bench. I mean, James Conn looks at him. He finally realizes he's on roids. I mean, come on. Guy's a testosterone freak.
I forgot all about The Program. That's a good one. That's a real good one.
That was a when they first started churning out DVDs. That was like the $3 bin at Walmart. Where when you bought a DVD and it had like the paper cover, like that cardboard cover.
Yes.
The only special feature was the trailer. That was it. You knew you were buying a cheap DVD.
I have the paper cover of the first Matrix. I have a paper cover of a probably very seldom seen Emilio Estevez movie called Judgment Night.
Oh, I thought you were going Men at Work, but then you threw me a curveball and went Judgment Night. Cuba Gooding Jr.,
Stephen Dorff,
Emilio Estevez,
Dennis Leary.
Yes, and what's his name from Entourage? Jeremy
Piven.
Thank you, Jeremy Piven. Jeremy Piven tries to make the deal. He throws him off the roof. A classic where Dennis Leary being the bad guy. Dennis Leary also shows up in Demolition Man with Stallone and Wesley Snipes. Yeah, he's the underground, doesn't live by the whole futuristic thing. He's living in the sewers.
He's like the Rat King.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to think I like free will. I like to cover myself in Jello, smoke a Cuban cigar just because I can do it.
Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary's, I had it on cassette and then had it on CD. Was it No Cure for Cancer? His big stand-up album, maybe one of the funniest of all time. I would put that album up against like your Richard Pryor and Seven Dirty Words and that, like all those classic albums. That was probably one of my favorites, along with my Jerky Boys tapes and CDs. Something you can never do anymore. You can't prank call anyone. You can't.
Everybody knows where you're calling from now.
Nobody's picking up. Who picks up the telephone?
That's right.
I use Google Screen, and that's how it eliminates half my calls. They ask if you're a human. Yeah.
Oh my.
We used to not to go off top. Did you ever prank call? We used to do that. That was always like a sleepover thing. We'd call the bowling alley and ask if they have 8-pound balls. Well, good for you.
I think we tried to, but as I'm trying to remember back, I don't think they were very creative. We were pretty bad at it.
The Jerky Boys made a movie, and I have it on VHS. And of course, I'm sure it never got printed in DVD, so that's why I kept the VHS copy, because you'll never see it again.
Yeah.
And had a great soundtrack. It had Green Day, like when they were first like coming out. I think maybe Lemonhead. Like a lot of good alternative music was in that, and it was. I mean, it was basically their characters like avoiding the mob and I mean, it was not a
Frank
great
Rizzo.
movie. But
this is Frank Rizzo.
RICCO. Roofing. Yeah. Open your ears, Jack. I got guys up there with the hot mops. They're doing that shit. I know. I throw them down on their heads. I don't put up with that. Pablo, honey.
I haven't heard a Jerky Boy segment in so long. It's been so long.
Johnny and Kamal. In fact, I just saw an article that he just put out. It's maybe a podcast or another album of something, but they split in the mid 90s. and Johnny, I forget what his last name is, but he's the one who does, Frank Rizzo and that most of the voices, but he's just on his own. And I think he you have to look at that, but I think he put an album out of trying to crank call people again just to get reactions. But it's got to be tough as hell just to get people to pick up the phone. They have to be all elderly.
He's doing podcasts now, you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Johnny, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show.
We'd love to have you on the show.
Absolutely.
We'd shoot the shit. Yeah, maybe you still have a mullet. It was glorious. If you're still wearing stonewashed jeans and untied Air Jordans, please.
Maybe we get them one week. We'll get the Insane Clown Posse another time.
Ooh, I don't know if they have the time, what they're up to nowadays.
We'll get Fago. We'll have Fago on draft for them.
Classic Fago. I still it's 99 cents a 2 liter. I'm still at the Dollar Tree. You can get a 3 liter of Fago if the mood strikes you.
How much does a liter of cola cost?
A liter of cola? I'm sorry, do we have liter of cola? It's French. Forgive me some freaking cola. Farva, just get a large. I don't want a large Farva. I want a goddamn liter of cola.
I have one burger. It's for a cop.
What's he gonna do? Spit in it?
Hold the spit in that cop's burger.
All right, Q. Hold the spit. So I spit to you? No.
Oh, but if what we've gone over so far today isn't like the epitome of this show, just anytime something pops in our head, we just say it and go with it. It's awesome.
And this is something you have to understand, folks. Jay and I did not grow up together. We didn't even meet until, let's put a date on it, like a year and a half ago. I mean, I think Isabella was maybe a year into Stage Right before we even spoke, because dads don't speak there.
No.
It's just a select few of us. I think we've broken the mold. Me, you, Nick Seach, a couple of we've broken the mold and we actually talk. But
we take them to practice. We sit over in a corner somewhere and we just get on our phones and play. I was playing Candy Crush at the time. I was getting teased for having Candy Crush on my phone by everybody in my household, but it kept me busy during play practice, but yeah.
That's COVID has really put a death nail on the sit around, because we can't sit in Stage Right anymore. So now we're just sitting in the parking lot, much more closed off, not a lot of conversations in the
right.
parking lot. Yeah, as we wait for our children to run out the door that we love and care for so much.
That's right. But the way we bounce back and forth, and most of Nick's memories are my memories, or references. We get each other's references when we pull up. Just say something that we remember from a movie, the other person remembers it from a movie or a show. So buckle up, because it's going to be a lot of this, going forward. Hopefully it's entertaining to hear from the outside. It's entertaining to do, that's for sure. I'm having a great time doing this.
And I think we ran a little bit, and this is something I wanted to bring up, but the stadiumtalk.com, I just saw today, I don't know how long it's been published, but they came out with the all-time starting lineups for every professional baseball organization, and they ranked them. And the Pirates come in at 11th. And here's the all-time lineup. Tony Pena, catcher. Willie Stargell at first. Maz at second. Honus Wagner at short. Pie Traynor at third. The outfield is where it gets exciting. So you go Bonds at left.
Yep.
You go Clemente in right.
Okay.
But center, and I think this is where this breaks my heart as our generation, but they put McCutchen in center.
Really?
And that's where it surprised me. And I'm just wondering if that's just like you have to put somebody current in a list. But Kutch, to me, I just don't feel that he eclipses Van Slyke at center. Even if you go back to the 70s and those guys, I don't know if he – maybe time will tell. But really, to me, I love Kutch. I wish he would have stayed here, but to me, I'm like 2 seasons of really, and he did have an MVP season. Don't get me wrong, but
I wonder what criteria they used. Because probably from a defensive standpoint, there's no question Van Slyke was way better than McCutchen defensively.
And I just want to say, most of the times, this you used to say, playing on turf because you could play. I think playing baseball on turf was harder because those bounces off of turf could go 40 feet over your head. In the
Absolutely.
grass, that ball's dying. But on Van Slyke made the easy catches, made the hard catches look easy, and the easy catches look ridiculously hard. I mean, he would do a flip just to, or he would sprawl out. And it was only like 3 feet in front of him, but he was a classic. I mean, him and the Killer Bees, I think, is the greatest outfit of our generation.
Absolutely. And Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, still, thanks for that contract. I mean, my God, talk about ruining an organization. I mean, that's one when Bonilla left. You can't say he was getting that huge contract. There's no way the Pirates or any other organization was paying him that. But Bonds,
not if they were thinking straight. I don't know what the Mets were thinking when they signed him to that contract.
I mean, he was already 6 years into his career, I think, at that point. So it's not like you got him as a rookie phenom. He was still a quarter of his career was in the tank. But sending Bonds to arbitration, I mean, you couldn't even. I'm not saying you knew what Bonds was going to become, but it hurts me because Bonds never showed up in October for us. I mean, that 8 hopper to the plate still haunts my dreams.
Yeah.
But the fact that you weren't keeping with just losing Bonilla, that team would have stayed. I mean, because you were a contender one more year, you would have had 2 or 3 more years of contenders if you would have just kept Bonds, Van Slyke, Drabek was still healthy. You had I'm trying to think of the infield there.
I can give you the infield where you want. You got
Jay Bell could still be playing. Yeah.
Jay Bell, you got Chico at second. You got Gary Ritas kind of played a little bit everywhere.
And RJ Reynolds used to get thrown in there too as a utility.
RJ Reynolds, Jeff King, Steve Buechele played third, the second, like 92, I believe it was. We had Wally Backman as a utility guy for a little bit.
Who was the rookie that came in that 92 season that was really good?
92 season.
Would have been 91, 92.
Well, I know Wakefield came in like a bat out of hell. Maybe Kevin Young? No,
Kevin Young was after the strike. I went to the Sheridan in Greensburg after the strike. It was the 95 season. And I have somewhere in this house buried in a box is autographs of Kevin Young, Brian Hunter. I'm trying to think who else was on that ball. Some real stellar, Jason Kendall's on it. When we brought in all those guys after the whole regime was gone. But
I'm trying to pull up the 92 Pirates roster. Now, ironically, like around this time, like obviously a big Pittsburgh sports fan, so I had this all memorized. And actually, a buddy of mine and I, when we would go to Kennywood and ride the Steel Phantom or I think it was Steel Fan by then, going up the very first hill, we would just recite the Pirates batting order from 1 to 9, like what their everyday lineup would be. It was pretty funny.
Who might?
Orlando Merced.
Yes, thank you, Orlando Merced. Wasn't he a rookie in that? He was 91 his rookie year. He was young.
I'm not sure. Carlos Garcia was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Steve Buechele. So Chico leaned. Yeah, Merced, Wainer. Oh, have no fear. John Wayner's here. The original Joker. Yeah. The original Rock was John Wayner. Yeah. Before the Rock.
Cecil Espy.
Oh, classy.
Dave Clark.
Besides Al Martin, I forgot that was his. That was a rookie year.
Had to have been. Yeah, I thought he was, later on in the 90s. But
I tell you who showed up in that 92 postseason was McClendon. I think has a better batting average than Bonds did in October. I mean, unfortunately, you remember McClendon more as a manager stealing first base, throwing it into the dugout. I
mean, this will probably go under the grind our gears section someday, with the just the whole economics of baseball. But it's just a shame that the Pirates fell for so long and just couldn't keep up with the Joneses, because we do have a strong fan base here, one that really cares
I mean,
and
we've talked about it,
yeah.
that wild card game, which you were at, correct? Or were you at the wild card?
I was I was not that wild card game. I went to the Waka game when
Okay.
Waka against, what's his name? He's pitching. He's throwing ropes down there for the Astros now. What's his name?
Oh,
Come on, Charlie Morton.
Charlie Morton. Yep.
I
Charlie
mean,
Morton, who couldn't get out of a ball game with us.
he was
This
pitching
Cy
the game
Young
of
as soon as he
pitching the
left.
game of his life. They
Yeah.
couldn't sniff a ball that Michael Waka was pitching that day. It was bad. We were so pumped up, thought they were going to knock him out. But yeah,
that Cincinnati wild card game that we won. I mean, just sitting watching it on television, you couldn't even hear the announcers. It was so loud from the first pitch to the last pitch. That is, I mean, we only have a 38,000 seat stadium. That is so easy to fill. Whenever we're sniffing 500 ball, it's filled. It's just it's ownership. It's a conversation we could have till we're blue in the face, but it's not a small market team. It's just small market ownership. We are
Right.
never going to have a stud. And it's painful to think that, but the only way you're going to put a winner under this ownership is that lightning in a bottle where you got for those, those 2-3 wild card years where you just happen to find old talent, where you resurrected with Burnett and you just had some young guys who weren't hot enough to leave, but became hot for us before they did.
Right.
That's it. I mean, which really, I think that he marshaled that team, Burnett, because until that point, nobody was in the clubhouse moving those guys.
No.
I mean, he was the only probably player under that regime that when they called the shift, he shifted them back and sent them back into position, which I loved.
He was fantastic. The perfect person for that team at that time, to get to direct them and to follow by example. AJ Burnett was phenomenal.
And let's not digress from this is totally from our generation, but we have probably the only time in baseball where we had a 40 plus home run hitter that wasn't even mentioned in the headlines because the legends were hitting 60s and 70s was Brian Giles hitting like 42 home runs and didn't even care. That was like nothing. That was just like an average player at that point. He was so juiced up.
Yeah, we can't even juice our guys right. They don't even get enough home runs. Everybody else is hitting 60, 70 home runs. Hitting 42.
If you didn't think Giles was on roids, he only had 1 foot on the ground in the batter's box. He always kicked that left like up in the air, which drove my dad crazy. And you could just tell he was ready to jerk one. And I know the numbers around 40 he hit. Which now, if you were hitting 40 home runs, you'd be in the running for MVP.
Right.
Yeah, but then between Sosa and McGuire and Bonds hitting 70, 40 was like that's like a 250 hitter.
Even that 1 year, I think his name was Brady Anderson, was cranking out the home runs like just for one season. Yep. He hit like 40, 50 home runs. There was like, who's this guy? And then you never heard from him again.
Never heard from him
again.
Yeah. And as soon as that scandal broke, I mean, so many guys' necks shrunk because they had to stop taking it. Giles was one of those guys. When he went out to the Padres, he dropped like 70 pounds of muscle. Which totally digress, but that's the shame is that Bonds was a great player and didn't need that. But what can you say? I mean, how could his ego, how could he let Sosa and McGuire trump him when he was just a better player? I mean, he was just had a more natural talent of a player, but so then his neck became the size of his head.
Hopefully he'll get into Cooperstown one day. I think he absolutely deserves it, but that, we may agree to disagree there, but
I think we agree to disagree there because him and San Fran, it hurts me. I'm not blaming him. I'm just blaming the situation there. But
right,
yeah, good times. Well, as we close out this show, I want to thank Jay, my co-host. Spirited the discussion. We'll be back on, and as Jay runs down our social media, where we're located, where you can find us, and hopefully we can start hearing from you. Maybe bounce some topics off us we can talk about. Jay, you want to run down where the fine folks can find us?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can email the show at dramadads@gmail.com. We're on Facebook at Selective Memories. We're also on Twitter at Dramadads. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel once we get one started up here. Selective Memories is our YouTube channel. So we're looking forward to getting a few episodes in the can and getting them loaded up for all our soon to be growing fan base. So we're looking forward to interacting with you in all those different formats. Feel free, like Nick said, let us know some topics you have or some opinions you have about stuff we're talking about. We'll do our best to get through and get them read and get some new content on here for you.
Sounds good, Jay. Well, I appreciate that, and good talk to you. Keep enjoying this Christmas season, and we'll see you next week, folks. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Have a good night.